Hey everyone, it's been some time since I've shot a video, sorry. Shit's just been busy. I got a new mic, I can't really tell how it's recording, so sorry if there's any issues. I'm gonna check before I post this, but hope I'm not wasting my time. And it's kind of a shitty mic, like I got it on for like $10, but I probably should have spent more because this cord's way too short. So if it gets in the shot a little bit, I'm sorry, but I'm doing my best. I know the audio has been really shitty on the last few videos, so I'm just trying to get it a little bit better set up. Anyway, today I'm going to cover a few collaborations between Gary Panter and Charles Burns, but then I'm also gonna cover a bunch more early Charles Burns stuff that I missed or I didn't own before I shot my other Charles Burns video, which if you haven't seen, that's a way more in-depth look through his stuff from the very beginning to now. So this is just gonna be kind of random, but to start off, I wanted to show off this collaboration. So Charles Burns and Gary Panter, this book came out in, let's see, 1990, should have looked this up first, but something like the early, like 1990 or so. I'm not seeing a date for some reason, but yeah, 1990. And this was edited by Kaz and Glenn Head. At first, I always just assumed it was just Kaz, just based on the cover, but no. So this collaboration was, I believe, originally published as like a super limited edition book. It's only 8 pages, but that thing, there's only like 100, maybe 200 copies. I forget who put it out, but it's super expensive and hard to find, so like I always assumed that this would just be an excerpt from it, but this is actually the whole thing. So you can find this book somewhat relatively priced sometimes. I got mine really cheap somehow on eBay, just got lucky. So this is technically a collaboration between 3 people. Tom DeHaven, who wrote the words, and it's not the most exciting story. It's more like a William S. Burroughs kind of cut up, crazy. I mean, you can't really have such a singular vision when you have these 3 very unique creators together. The artwork's incredible, though. Actually, I really do like the story or whatever that's going along with it, but it's just impossible to describe. I'll give you a little bit more of a better look. It really looks so much just like it's Charles Burns, but you can see Panter in there too. It's just like he's kind of going with the Charles Burns style. He can definitely, Gary Panter's kind of like a chameleon. There you see his stuff. I mean, that little cloud sequence is definitely fully him. And then there's some stuff here reminiscent of the next book I'm going to show you, which a lot of people do know about, and even a couple of people have covered it on YouTube. Facetasm, which was put out with a few different publishers, actually. Gates of Heck from Richmond, Virginia, which is exciting for me. I mean, just because I'm a Virginia boy myself, and I've lived in Richmond for quite a few years of my life. I have a special place for it in my heart. And Tom DeHaven's based there as well. They had a art show when Facetasm first came out, although I read that Charles Burns and Gary Panter were not there. This is funny. I got I actually put this in here because of this. I got a signed copy of Freaks on War, and I'm just not a big fan of that book really, but it had all 3 of their signatures, so I glued it in here. I thought that would be funny. Maybe I ruined it, but I don't know. I find this more valuable. I felt like it would be cooler to have their names in it. So that's called Pixie Meat, and they actually did do a second version of that, which came out in this issue of Smoke Signal. I've showed this in another episode before. This was in the newsprint comics, showing off mostly Paper Rodeo, but I figured it would be appropriate because I assumed that this was an excerpt from the book when I talked about it before, but Charles Burns actually corrected me on Instagram and said that this is a later collaboration. Obviously I know that now that I have the other one. I'm seeing it, but they did this specifically for this Smoke Signal. Now this is just a Charles Burns page, so I'm not to confuse things. This is the collaborative page. There's only one page, but you can see there's a lot of chaos. Tom DeHaven wasn't involved with this version, but yeah. And this came out in 2014, so this is much later. I don't know if they drew it the same year, but I would assume so. And that's kind of funny because I was wondering, like, how did they do it in a different color scheme with a different color set or whatever, the 2-color printing. Anyway, this is the last thing I have of their collaborative efforts, and like I said, this was published by a few different publishers over the years. This is the newest, Cambourakis. I don't really know how to say their name. I'm always butchering names on this channel, but Cambourakis, this is how you spell it. And this one you can get cheap, so it's still in print. It hasn't sold out yet. They're like an Italian or French publisher. And the conceit of this is it's on a spiral binding, so you can warp and mix and match the faces. And this is kind of based on some similar books from both of their childhoods in the 50s or 60s maybe, where they did these face mashup books. It's pretty fun, especially for a kid. I would have loved to fucking have this thing as a kid. Definitely can get several hours of enjoyment out of this every time I break it out. It's really cool how they collaborate in this seamless way. And this was originally published in the late 80s, I think, so it's cool that it's still relevant enough for the people to keep publishing over and over. I guess it just keeps going out of print. Which makes sense. This thing's awesome. Why wouldn't it go out of print? If you recognize that face, it's from the Skin Deep story, Burn Again. And actually a couple faces in here are from actual Charles Burns or Gary Panter stories, if you recognize them. I don't know if that's from one, but I wish it was. It's like some Men in Black shit. We got a Frankenstein kind of character here. But yeah, you can get this one. It's not the best production value, to be honest. It feels a little cheap, plasticky. Like, you can see this thing, the silver they use, the foil, whatever. It takes a lot of damage easily, and if you like touch it, it leaves a mark. So that's a little bit annoying. If you've seen the Eternaut, that's how you do that kind of book. I mean, I don't know where they printed it or what material they used, but that thing's insane. So I'm gonna move on to more early Charles Burns stuff that I missed in my other video. Maybe not not that I missed it on purpose, so although some of these I did own and I just forgot about, but I just didn't even own this or several of these books before. I'm always building up my Charles Burns library. So this is Raw number 8. And so the conceit of this section in here called Raw Gags, over 99 laughs it boasts. They got, I guess Raw was, at this point, they'd become less the cutting edge and more like normal, I guess. I don't know, they'd become pretty widely known at this point. You have Liquid Television and stuff like that was adapting these artists' work on putting them out to the MTV crowd. But I guess a lot of their major criticism is that they were just so depressing, all the work that they ran, and so they decided to prove everyone wrong by getting to all their artists that they work with, plus a lot of different. They would actually take some pieces from art galleries and add captions and like turn fine art into gag cartoons. So they also had people like Charles Burns, Gary Panter, Mac White, etc. to do gag comics. And then first thing I was going to show here is there's a couple pages in here where, a lot like the Paper Rodeo episodes that I did, they would do ads they would do hand-drawn ads for the people that were advertising within the magazine. And so I think maybe a lot of people would miss these, but if you know Charles Burns' hand and the way he draws, you can't really, everything stands out. You got Kaz, Juice Short, a lot of great artists here. I love this editorial technique right here with the cats chasing the mouse. Right, perfect. That's what makes Raw so special. It's hard to not just start scrolling through, so I'm gonna skip. I need to do a deeper dive just on Raw once I have more volumes to really show. So here are some of the Charles Burns gags. I think I got them all marked, so shouldn't be too challenging to find. Yeah, I'll do a deeper dive on this, on Raw in general, because this whole section deserves its own episode, really. And this is pretty similar to the series he did before Raw. It was a one-panel series called Mutantis, and he talks about that in the studio, the Todd Hignite book. It was for the Rocket in Seattle. And you can find sometimes those. It was a free magazine, so sometimes those will pop up. I really feel stupid for passing up on one for like $30 one time. It was cut out though, there were pieces of it cut out, and I was a little bit weirded out to buy it, I guess, I don't know. But I haven't seen it for sale since, and there was some really cool Charles Burns pages. Anyway, this is the last thing in here. Jamie Canvas, Charming Toys, pretty cool. I guess that looks like Art Spiegelman to me, all the different styles. Kim Deitch, you got Gary Panter. Oh man, this is so cool. A Gary Panter mug. I gotta do a Gary Panter episode as well. That's gonna be coming soon. I know I've covered Jimbo, but I'd like to do an episode that covers Jimbo more extensively, because I have a lot of the books, even like the original card. Well, I've shown off the cardboard one, but I also have the Pantheon Jimbo in Purgatory. Alright, the next thing I'm going to show, this is pretty famous underground comic anthology done by Bill Griffith, edited by Bill Griffith, and early Clowes. I guess not that early, but back when he was still doing these anthologies really regularly. Although he doesn't have anything inside. A lot of these Young Lusts are not that exciting to me because the content is just not that, I don't know, it's just what you expect from underground comics about sex. Although this issue, specifically, number 8, is great. Like, pretty much everything in here is fun. And somehow I'd missed this for a while. But you can't read it, obviously. The lettering is tiny. And I'm not sure about this, but a lot of people don't realize most, if not all, Charles Burns is lettered by someone else, a woman, Susan Moore. This might have been Charles Burns who did this lettering. It's totally different than what you know him for, but it makes sense in a way. I mean, this is almost like more than a theme, it's almost like a trope when it comes to Burns. Like, if you've read all his work, it all does blend together into like the same themes repeat constantly, and which is a little bit disappointing sometimes when you're looking for something new from him. If you've read his newest French book, Daedalus, which is French for like labyrinth or maze, you'll know. I mean, it's so close to what he was doing with mixing. It really feels like a Black Hole meets X'd Out. Although I loved it, I'm not gonna complain. Like, I'm always excited for more Charles Burns, but sometimes, I don't know, I thought the X'd Out trilogy was next level, and like a lot of people don't really give that one as much credit. So this was a Fantagraphics early anthology, and it's almost attempting to it's almost like a promotional material, because it's publishing a lot of stuff that they're publishing in its own volumes, like Jim Woodring, his early Jim stuff. You got Kim Deitch, and this stuff was appearing in their other solo comics and anthologies as well. Got not Yummyfer, but Chester Brown, 1-page or 2-pager. Anyway, the best thing about this series is this 1-page Charles Burns series that was running through it, which I don't know if he meant to continue it, because each of them seems unrelated, but they're tied by this narration of like it's hard to explain, like a science program almost, or almost like a Twilight Zone type thing. And this first one is introducing it like the mysteries of the flesh. So there's only 3 of them, and they do appear to be a serialized thing that was going to go forward, although can't say for sure, because they are still all unrelated in their own ways. And it does talk about that. Like in the first one, it literally says this is going to seem like a series of unrelated events or series of absurd scientific confusions. You can get these cheap, the prime cuts, that's what it's called. And so this runs through number 3, 4, and 5. It's not in the 2 or 1. It's the final one. Another trope of his. Obviously he it's not really what you know him for, although this is like a lot more connected to like his first comic, Illbred, in terms of style, though you can see the shading start to take hold right there, although it's more minimal. Definitely you can tell when he's swiping from romance comics in a way, and this is really, you can tell early on in his stylistic evolution, because there's freaking duotone, or I don't know exactly what the shading, what that's called, but some sort of toner paper. Alright, just a couple more things to show. This is something he did that's not really talked about at all when people bring him up, and it's his photography collage work. This is a book put out by Drawn and Quarterly, oddly. He hasn't really done anything else with them. I'm assuming because maybe Fantagraphics probably would not have put this out. And he's just kind of making these narratives with two images. Not much else to say about this one. I think he does do a lot of this sculpted and toys that he shoots. Some of them really are profound and they work really well. Some of them a little bit more boring to me, but still worth noting in his career. And he even did more work like this outside of that's obvious. He ran that in Free Shit. That's definitely his drawing. So this thing used to pop up really cheap all the time, like on eBay. Now I don't see it on there at all. But I'll give you the scoop. I got mine on Amazon for like $5, so I usually hate ordering from them. Everything comes in far worse condition than it's advertised, plus never packaged right, but if you gotta get it, that's the only place I could find it. And then I don't have too much of this. I only have a few issues really, but on Wikipedia it even claims that he did every cover of this magazine, which is not true because it's still running today when he doesn't do art for it anymore. But The Believer, this is a magazine run out of Seattle. Obviously that's where he's based as well. It's where Black Hole takes place even. And this is a really cool magazine actually, because about twice or three times a year they would do a music episode, or a music issue, a film issue, and an art issue, and each one would come, the music one would come with a CD, the film one would come with a DVD, and the art one would come with some sort of art piece. This was published by, it still is actually, published by McSweeney's, a great publisher run by Dave Eggers. If you haven't checked them out, highly recommend their DVD series called Wallfin, which is it's really tied in with The Believer in a lot of ways. But the most interesting thing about this in terms of comics, aside from Charles Burns doing a lot of the covers and a lot of the interior illustrations, Alvin Buenaventura also edited a comics section running from I think about 2005 to 2011 or 12. So each issue would have a single page of comics that he edited. And now and then a lot of them had Charles Burns comics in them. So I usually notated all the pages, although Charles Burns is not inside this one, so just on the cover. But it's just 2 pages generally, 2-page spread of comics, so they're very small. And the Charles Burns comics in here are just like I was showing you before, photo comics, or somewhat photo comics that are mixed with drawings, or just these abstract themes, or creating a feeling, or it really leaves you up to interpretation. But if you can actually look online. Maybe I'll post below the actual years that this comic section was run, because it's really worth trying to seek all these out from that period. Most of them are online to read for free. I think my goal is to collect them all, and then maybe I'll bind them all together and show that, because this is a whole period of the late Alvin Buenaventura, his career, that's not really covered. Same with Charles Burns. And so many notable cartoonists are in here, especially Michael DeForge did a lot of stuff that's not collected anywhere. Eric Haven, although some of this stuff is in his collections. Tom Gold, who I'm not a fan of, but you've got Matt Fury. Simon Hanselman has pieces in here that aren't collected. But this is obviously an episode about Charles Burns. I kind of glossed over the covers. And so each issue he's doing these essentially just portraits. And you see these for sale a lot of the time on eBay. So the originals are prints of these. Here's some more. And some of these I'm going to assume aren't Charles Burns, because you can tell with the actual shading, although most of them look right. I would say that doesn't look like him to me, but it could be. Yeah, it is. They're all him. There's another artist that apes his style, so I guess sometimes they just wouldn't have enough money to get Burns or something. I'm not sure. But there's a couple issues from this period that aren't him, and they look just like his work, but if you look carefully, the feathering's not right. So here's another photo comic. He actually did an entire narrative photo comic that ran in Taboo. And fuck, I just realized I have one of those, but it's not the photo comic. I knew I was forgetting something. But yeah, you got a great Michael DeForge. So many good ones. An interior page right there. Is that Chuck Palahniuk? Very cool. Let's see. I don't think he did a comic in this one. I notated all the pages that he was in. They're really can be hard to find. It's all prose and interviews for the most part. It's like the one page that's always colored differently. I guess I don't need to show it if he's not in there. I'm going to do a much deeper dive on this once I have more issues. Let's see. Now these look so similar to ones that are in that book, and I think most of these images did also appear in Free Shit. Looks like Michael DeForge did that lettering. This is not a DeForge episode though. I will be doing a DeForge episode someday. It's gonna take so long. I just don't feel like dedicating all that time quite yet. Until I have like everything, and I'll do like a 5-hour episode. Alright, anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna have to show the Taboo another time, because once I have all of them, I don't know, it's not that exciting right now maybe. But thanks for watching. I hope the audio is a lot better this time. Hopefully it's not clipping out or fucking up or anything, because I have to do this all over. Anyway, subscribe and like the video if you want more content like this. Check out my other videos if you like this. I don't know, I'm not great at promoting myself, but some douchebags outside beeping, so I gotta go. See ya.